and pounding it out shortly later. If that sounded dirty, it wasn't nearly as rife with sexual tension as when Adesanya gave him like an air hump. What up, Fightful fam, and welcome to your Fightful Fix UFC 253 post-fight edition. We're going to break down all the biggest storylines coming out of Saturday's cards and try and figure out what's next for the night's winningest fighters. Now, before we begin, if you could please hit subscribe and tap the notification bell, that goes such a long way to helping our channel grow, and a like on this video never hurts either. First up, Israel Adesanya retains his UFC middleweight title and puts on a masterclass performance, beating Paulo Costa in a one-sided fight, round 2 TKO. UFC president Dana White came into this saying that this could be the fight of the year. A lot of people in the media, a lot of analysts, a lot of fans were convinced that this would be the most challenging fight in Israel Adesanya's UFC career, that Paulo Costa was the man who was going to take it to Izzy with forward pressure and make him fight. Well, that narrative turned out to be completely untrue. Israel Adesanya starring role on Mythbusters, Paulo Costa just never got going. Costa seemed to be sort of reserving his energy, content on hauling Adesanya in, controlling the center. There were some brief moments where he tried to press forward, but at no point was he successful. Adesanya spent much of the first round chewing up the legs of Costa and turned it on in round 2, cutting him over the eyebrow with a head kick, landing a big punch to the temple that dropped Costa and pounding it out shortly later. If that sounded dirty, it wasn't nearly as rife with sexual tension as when Adesanya gave him like an air hump and then walked over to Costa's corner and told Coach Eric that he was coming all over him. It was unusual, interesting. I mean, I'm not mad about it. It's just funny. Adesanya said that should Jared Cannonier put forth a dominant performance against Robert Whittaker at UFC 254, that Adesanya would like to grant Cannonier the next title shot. UFC President Dana White agreed with that sentiment, but Adesanya mentioned another name that I think always gets overlooked, and that's Jack the Joker Hermansson. Jack Hermansson is on an incredible run. He did lose to Cannonier somewhat recently, but he's coming off of a very quick first-round heel hook submission over Kelvin Gastelum, and he had a dominant win against Jacare Souza. Should Jack Hermansson beat Darren Till at their upcoming headlining Fight Night card, Hermansson is primed for a UFC title shot. Now, I think it's fair to say that Jared Cannonier deserves the first crack at Adesanya. He has a win over Hermansson, but should Cannonier lose to Whittaker, and the UFC is not interested in giving Whittaker a rematch, and I think it's the perfect time to slot Jack Hermansson in. Basically, what I'm saying is there are 2 fights coming up that'll play a big role in what happens next. If Jared Cannonier wins, even if it's not by the dominant fashion that Izzy would like it to be, he's getting the next title shot. If Robert Whittaker wins, well, then it's dependent on what happens with Jack Hermansson. If Jack Hermansson beats Darren Till, I suspect Jack Hermansson rightfully should get the next shot. But if Darren Till beats Jack Hermansson and Robert Whittaker beats Jared Cannonier, then you kind of have to give it to Whittaker because he's coming off of that win against Till. He is a former champion and a very respected one at that. The only hesitation being that he had absolutely nothing to offer Adesanya in their first fight, but I really do hope that he could put forth a strong effort because Whittaker is one of the nicest guys in this sport. Now let's move on to the co-main event. Jan Blachowicz, my pick, to win, did so in tremendous fashion against Dominick Reyes. He took control of the fight from the get-go, dictating the pace, landing the harder punches, the harder kicks. Most notably, he caught Dominick Reyes in the body with a shot that immediately bruised his midsection. And I'm talking like a deep, disgusting purple that persisted for the rest of the fight. Dominick Reyes seemed content to move, stay on the back foot, try and get out of the way, but it was in round 2 that Dominick Reyes seemed to find his comfort zone, land some good shots, and start picking up the pace. Big mistake, because as soon as Reyes upped the stakes, Blachowicz answered in brutal fashion. He broke Dominick Reyes' nose, he stumbled him, he knocked him down, and he finished it on the floor. Jan Blachowicz and his magic noose Okay, I should probably give some context. If you don't know, Jan Blachowicz like found a dead man hanging in a forest once, and as per some old tradition, he now carries the noose with him, and he like touches the noose for good luck. And so I guess the lesson there is, if you want success in life, find a dead man's noose. But anyways, Jan Blachowicz is the new UFC light heavyweight champion. He called out Jon Jones. He said Thiago Santos should be next in line. And he said he is open to a super fight with Israel Adesanya. Adesanya and Blachowicz both took home performance of the night bonuses, and the $50K fight of the night bonus went to the matchup that was one slot below the co-main event. Flyweights Kai Kara-France and Brandon Royval put forward an incredible fight. Huge action right off the top. Kai Kara-France drops Royval. Royval responds with a spinning back elbow that drops France, hits him with all sorts of submission attempts like an omoplata, lands a knee, a high knee that knocked down Kai Kara-France, and eventually in round 2 jumped onto his hips, grabbed the guillotine, dropped him to the floor, and got the second round submission. It was also a notable night for Ketlen Vieira, who returned from a 2-year layoff and beat Sijara Eubanks, but Eubanks actually looked pretty good in defeat. It was a wonderful scrap. Ketlen decisively took the first 2 rounds, although it was competitive, and Eubanks answered strong, winning a very clear round 3, just not enough to secure a unanimous decision. And Canada's own Hakeem Dawodu took home a split decision win. It was a very competitive fight across the first 2 rounds before Hakeem really turned it up in the third. A lot of funny trash talk, very eloquent in his post-fight speech, plus a great pre-fight hype video, a little like deep dive feature from Aaron Bronstetter at the folks over at TSN in Canada. So Hakeem has apparently been promised a top 15 fight with this win, and I think he is very deserving of that. Since I forgot to mention, regarding Jan Blachowicz, I think it's super clear that his next fight should be the winner of Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. That is a very clear number 1 contenders fight. I know it's fallen through a couple times, and in the event that it gets canceled or scrapped, I'm pretty sure it just got rebooked. But if that fight doesn't happen for some reason, then yeah, I think it's fair to give Thiago Santos the next crack. And that is all for today's Fightful Fix. Let me know in the comments section, whose performance were you more impressed by? Israel Adesanya's or Jan Blachowicz, and who do you think they should each fight next? If you enjoyed this video, the best way you can help the channel grow is by hitting subscribe, tapping the notification bell, and a like on this video never hurts either. And I'm gonna stick to my crappy outro until I come up with something better. So keep up with us for everything Fightful and oh so delightful.
Andrea Lee, I saw you looking thirsty on your last Instagram post.
I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not sure what that means.
I modeled for a pretty calendar once.
Did you
She saw a pretty calendar.
God damn it. No, that's not it. No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. You don't need to apologize. Stop.